Good morning. Today is Sunday, April 26th, and you are watching The Viewscreen. I am your host, Amy Nelson.
And I'm your host, Kelvin Wood. The Viewscreen is your weekly Star Trek magazine show. We're here with our friends, the news, special features, and we're sending lots of love to our Star Trek family all around the world.
Yes, and hello to the viewers. We're so glad you were here. Chad and Joel popping in. Thank you. Kelvin, how have you been this week?
I'm really good. I can feel the change in seasons. We've had some fabulous weather this week. I just feel revived, renewed, sunshine. James has been doing the garden this week. So, getting everything nice. And yeah, it's really, it's good. It suddenly dawned on me that we're at the end of April. Yeah. And I remember us saying when we were planning this run of the Viewscreen, we have to be done by May, because that's when I need Sundays for the social life to kick in. So here we are at the season finale. How would you feel about that?
I can't believe it. I feel it is a little short, but we have lives and things that have to get done. So I too am also looking forward to a wonderful May and summer. I'm still really enjoying this 60th anniversary. And I was out grocery shopping, and you know how you have the magazines. I know. And I'm like, well, this is ridiculous. Why am I going to buy this magazine? There is a never seen picture. And I'm like, all right, that's it. And of course, it was with Marina Sirtis. But the images and the stories that are coming out, they have a great tribute to Lucille Ball. And, of course, things that we've already know. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Let's have a go.
Oh,
a lovely behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Nice. So what is that? What is that magazine, in case the listeners, viewers want to go out and buy it?
So it's Entertainment Weekly.
And
the Star Trek 60th edition, collector's edition. So looking out on the storefronts, I remember the 50th doing the same thing. Collecting all these magazines.
I remember the 30th. Over here in the UK, we have what we call the TV Times or the Radio Times, and they often do specials. And I can memorize the front cover. It had the Enterprise D Voyager on one side, and then the original Connie on the other. They didn't even have Deep Space Nine on the cover, I don't believe. And they're really special, those issues. That'll become a collector's item.
Yeah.
So. Speaking of which, I need to get your little pin in the post.
Yes.
So you can wear it throughout the year.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, you guys, please hit the like and subscribe button. We know you're out there because we will be taking a little hiatus, but we don't want you to miss when we come back. So please do that. Yeah. And thank you to those listening on the podcast version that comes out every week as well.
Brilliant. We might be short a couple of viewers today because we've got two regular viewers who are guests on today's show. So we're bringing the viewers on board with us. So shall we see what we've got coming up on today's show?
Yes, we have Kristin with us, of course, bringing in the world of Star Trek news.
We also have, he's back, it's James Draper here to talk about some anniversary books. Hi, James.
And of course, it wouldn't be a season without trivia with Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hi. Brilliant. So we've covered all the bases today, whether you prefer your Kirk as Jim Kirk or James Kirk. We've got a Jim and a James just to satisfy.
I love that.
Brilliant. Well, let's get on with it. Let's head over to the newsroom with Kristin.
Hello, my dear. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Great. Hey,
Good.
tell me about that shirt you've got. Love Klingon. Oh,
I
there we
love
go.
Klingon. I was thinking the other day as I was like going through my closet doing some purging and whatnot for the season, I was like, if I had to pick a species who I think I would aesthetically align with the most, it would definitely be Klingons. Just the big boots.
Yes.
The studs, all of that, like always have been my jam. So today,
speaking of Klingons,
yes,
I had a moment a couple of days ago. I was in the gym. One of the personal trainers just came over to me and said, "How do you say hello in Klingon?" And I was like, "I don't know. I know everyone knows goodbye. Everyone knows kapla." And he sent me like in a deep rabbit hole because it was something I don't know. And apparently Klingons don't say hello. They're so direct. The closest they have is nukne, which is what do you want?
Nukne.
A little random person in the gym just asking me Star Trek questions.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to start using that at work when like the people, when they don't try to answer their own question and they just ask people who they think that, I'll be like, nukne.
It replaces patak.
Well, as they walk away, I'll say patak, but see, they won't know what it means, and hopefully HR won't get involved.
Unless they have the Klingon dictionary.
None of them are that cool.
Right. Well, what's going on this week, Kristin?
So we got a few little tributes and birthdays that I want to go over because we have some really unique ones for today. So today, 33 years ago, was The Chase. So season 6, episode 20 of TNG. And of course, this was brought back very heavy for reference at the end of Discovery. So it was Discovery. Yeah. Sorry, my brain is not totally on shape. And I really loved that callback. I thought they did a very good job at continuing the ideas that were sort of sparked in here. I also think that The Chase, the message behind it about technically we all come from the same material, the same primordial ooze or whatever. And I think that is a very necessary message to be brought back into popular discourse today, just with so many people trying to fragment us into whatever. Yeah, it's important to remember what Star Trek talked about 33 years ago today on The Chase. So happy birthday to this episode.
Happy birthday. I believe that's Christopher's favorite TNG episode.
Oh,
it is. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I would have expected something more Beverly-centric, but I learned something.
Yeah, we covered it. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. We also have a really fun birthday. So happy birthday to Spice Williams Crosby, born April 26, 1952, most known for playing Vixis in Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. She has wonderful muscles. For those of you who can't picture her, that's the character she played. And I was reading up on her, and she is still actively working in Hollywood today as a stunt coordinator. And that was her main job, it was coordinating stunts for movies and TV, as well as, you can see in the photos, bodybuilding. This woman is buff. But I was like, Williams Crosby, and I couldn't quite understand. Oh, could we just scoot back real quick? Back just a couple.
Rewind.
Wrong. There we go. Thank you. In 1989, she married Greg Crosby, who is Denise Crosby's half brother.
Huh. So
Vixis is Tasha Yar's sister-in-law.
So Tasha Yar's the middle between a bit of Klingon on the right and a bit of Romulan on the left.
She's she just spans more of this than we know. You know what, Chad? It is a small world. It is a small world. So yes, both Denise and Greg have Bing Crosby as their grandfather. And then I guess Greg and Denise have the same dad, but different moms. But yeah, they've been married since 89, which is the year that The Final Frontier came out. So it was a big year for Spice. It's a big year for her. But no, she's still rocking. I also remember watching Star Trek V when I was a kid. I loved it because I thought it was the whole why does God need a starship was always funny to me. But again, I loved watching such a very different representation of a female character on screen when we got her and then Ezedbor in The Undiscovered Country a couple years later. So I always loved female Klingons in the movies and how they were represented. So anyway, happy birthday to Spice Williams Crosby.
Awesome.
Yes. And then now we have, so Amy, you'd mentioned Lucille Ball, and today is actually the day of her passing. So she passed today, again, 1989. There's a big 1989 theme today. I don't know what it means. There might be. So, of course, everybody who knows Star Trek, we owe it. We owe everything to the 60th anniversary of things still percolating and still going to Miss Lucille Ball. She was born August 6th, 1911, and passed away April 26th, 1989. And of course, she was huge for the letter writing campaign that she was instrumental in to keep it from being canceled. So when I was looking up some images, somebody had created a picture here for those who are listening. Go online and look up Lucille Ball, Star Trek. Go to images, and you will see her in a Janeway inspired uniform.
Yes.
Looking fly. So, yes. Sending out our thanks and our good vibes to Lucille Ball today.
Yes.
And then my meme of the week, and I love it. This is me starting every single day of my life, and it's Beverly saying, "We will start with the assumption that I am not crazy." That is a bold assumption, but that is how I start every day. You know, I'm going to give myself the benefit of the doubt that I haven't gone completely nuts. Not completely, maybe partially, because we can all be a little partially crazy, but not fully. So this is,
and then to extend that a little bit, you start with the assumption that you're not crazy, and if something is weird, then there's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with the galaxy.
Yeah, 100%. And in Beverly's case, that was correct. And so, kind of go through life and like, so is it everybody? I can't be the drama. Can't be me. I kind of want to print this out though and like frame it, set it on my desk at work. As just a little like reminder.
Nation.
Yeah. And so jumping into some like news, we have a so IDW, of course, the Trek comics, who keep a lot of stories going and who just keep pumping out content, and I love it. So they are coming out with a Deep Space Nine replacement coming out in June. So this is a little synopsis here. Is the crew of the USS Omega are desperately trying to hold the Federation's vision of a united galaxy together, but they're failing. The spirit of cooperation is dead, but Starfleet's mission might not be, thanks to a research station on the aptly named Deep Space Hope.
What do we mean by Deep Space Nine replacement?
Well, I guess Deep Space Hope is supposed to be the Deep Space Nine, the new version. I don't know. Right. I guess we're going to have to read. Did DS load up?
That's good. That's triggering to a lot of people to say we're replacing DS9. Is it a reboot? Is it wow.
It's a comic book, so I mean we can take it or leave it. Right.
multiverse.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that this is like after the burn? And so they're redoing Deep Space Nine? I mean, you've got a picture with Cisco. Is that going to be the 24th century or 32nd?
Who knows?
I don't.
That be my thought with Deep Space Hope, is maybe it's after the burn. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking, because when they're talking about so much turmoil within the Federation and like the ethos and everything that they'd established and was still going well in a lot of the stuff that we've, like a lot of our shows, I'm thinking it has to be after some sort of other major event, which of course would be the burn. So I do have a feeling that, Amy, you are probably correct. This is probably, it didn't set it in any sort of specific time. It didn't, like, because again, they don't want to give everything away. They want you to buy the book in June. So I'm interested, unless so Joel's asking, do they mean they are replacing the current DS9 comics with this? I don't think that's what it sounded like. I think it's just their new deep space station, that this is going to be the new, like starting a new story about another deep space station. But
I can't imagine old Terok Nor is doing too well in the 32nd century, the old Cardassian design. I don't think it'd last that long.
No, even though there's no oxygen in space, I bet you anything somehow it's managed to rust. Somehow there's and rust doesn't just give it a nice antique look. It's gonna be problematic. So I'm actually, this really piqued my interest as I was reading through it. They also have some other really cool stories that are coming out. So if you're looking for some, relaxing reads that aren't going to fry your eyes or your brain, and you just want to kind of enter your feel like a teenager again and flip through your comic book, IDW has some really cool stories coming out this summer. So you got your beach reading.
Nice.
Yes. Grab a nice iced coffee, put on your sunscreen, sit outside and read some Star Trek. And we have a release date for Strange New Worlds Season 4. July 23rd. Mark it on your calendars. Look at that hair. Look at that man. Oh, Anson. You are so handsome. Handsome Anson.
Ah, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Handsome Mount.
Handsome Mount. Don't talk to me about Mount. Anyway.
I know.
Oh, yeah. This morning. The Lord help me. So, July 23rd. At least we know when. Fewer than 3 months away, Chad. Yes, it will be here before we know it. And there will be a lot to talk about. I am sure that also means in the next probably few weeks, I think it might be time for a Strange New World rewatch. And maybe we do something with our friends and we do a little rewatch party and episode chat.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. Listeners, if that would be something that just popped into my brain, if that would be something that you would be interested in partaking in, let us know. And maybe we'll arrange a little something.
Brilliant. It dropped with a trailer as well last night. Last night for me, but yesterday for you guys. So I don't know if did you see the trailer?
I didn't see the trailer.
No. I mean, it's a trailer. There's nothing in it, but it does show them in Western. So I think we're getting a Western episode.
Good.
And dinosaurs.
And this is the one that has the puppet, right? Or is that season 5?
Yeah. So dinosaurs incoming, Joel.
Yes.
Oh, I wonder if they're going to do another Fistful of Data's inspired episode.
Right. That was where my brain went.
Oh,
Durango.
I love it. Let's get Durango. And then dinosaurs always takes me to Jurassic Park. And I always think about Jeff Goldblum. Let's just all sit and think about Jeff Goldblum for a minute.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Then Jim and James.
Yes.
And see what they thought of the news. Let's start with you, James. Anything pique your interest there?
Well, I'm looking forward to dinosaurs, but most especially puppets on Strange New Worlds. That's something to look forward to. What I'm pleased Kristin mentioned Lucille Ball, though, because for some reason it might have been connected to the those anniversary dates. I was reading an article about Lucille Ball earlier in the week, and it got me thinking about whether Star Trek had ever acknowledged her on the screen at all, or in any of the books or anything. I was really struggling to find any references as to, because she had such an effect on saving the show and getting it on air and keeping it going. And there was only one that I could find, and it's a reference to one of the characters on Enterprise in Carbon Creek, asking if they could watch the sitcom I Love Lucy. That's all I could find. Nothing in the beta canon in the novels or anything like that, which is unusual because that's usually where you would find that. Yeah, really interesting. You mentioned that, Kristin.
You know, James, I think there was a missed opportunity because in Encounter at Farpoint, they have DeForest Kelley just do a walk along as an admiral. Why didn't you have Lucille Ball just do a little like put her in a little ensign. But
an admiral scant.
She's right, and then have her do like a little or whatever I Love Lucy was famous for. Just bring a little humor and a little the fact that they never brought her on screen, that is a huge missed opportunity. We need to rewind to 1987. I'm happy to go back and refilm that. But anyway, that's why I love that there's so much fan art as well.
Yeah.
So having that picture of Lucille kind of Janeway inspired is really sweet, you know, and I hope that wherever she is today looking down on us, I hope she can see how much people love Star Trek. Love it. So yeah.
What about yourself, Jim? What did you see in the news there?
I just like everyone else, I'm excited by the trailer. Looking forward to July. Can't wait. And as for the whole thing about Spice, whatever her name was, being related to Tasha Yar, that goes to my kind of mild passion about like everyone in Star Trek kind of being connected to each other, kind of like a 6 degrees kind of a thing. Like, I've always been fascinated by that.
Yeah, that is very true.
So
Jim, you were able to see the trailer already?
Yes.
For Strange New Worlds? Okay.
Yeah, just watched it yesterday.
All right, I'm going to have to go look that up.
Oh.
It's about 4 minutes long, and I'll just say this: there is quite a bit of James Kirk.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay.
The tone of it is the end, even though it's only season 4, not season 5. But you can tell it's been narrated, put together, stitched together after the announcement of the end of the run. So that you're right, Jim. There's so much Kirk in it. The narrative is the leading up to Kirk.
I don't know if I'm ready for the end.
No.
I don't think anyone is.
Just let it be its own thing.
Yeah, I am particularly not ready for how they're going to wrap up Pike's story, and if we're going to see the death of Pike. I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for that, because I'm still not emotionally over Trip's death. So one more.
I'm more concerned with Ortega, Slaan, and Number One. We have no idea what they're going to do with them. There's lots of theories going around of they might just die.
They could have possibly even hinted it in the trailer. Who knows?
I'll have to rewatch there, Jim. I didn't catch that. I just promote Number One. Just let her transfer Ortegas and Laan, and they go.
We might be coming to that a bit later on, Kelvin, because I've got one.
Okay, I won't steal your thunder.
Okay, there we go.
One she might be saved.
Yes. All right. Well, Kristin, thank you so much for bringing us the news and all the fun memes. And we will get back with you later.
Thanks,
guys.
Thanks.
Okay, well, let's bring on our first guest of the day. I guess it's down to me to introduce this one. It is a very special person to me. It is the other half, my ball and chain, my number one. It's James Draper. Welcome back to the view screen, coming all the way from the room next door.
Well, thanks for inviting me back. This is usually my hour or two of peace and quiet on a Sunday. Amy does a wonderful work taking care of Kelvin for a little while once a week, so I get to watch Columbo or watch you normally. I'm not when it's live. I'm watching you live. So yeah, thank you very much for having me on.
The most chatty that you were in the chat in this season's run of the view screen was when we were in Gran Canaria for episode 2, and you were sat in the hotel bar with a lovely big glass of red wine, putting messages on every 5 minutes while we had Justin and Joe. That was great.
I think for accuracy, we can't claim it was a glass of red wine. It was because that was a long show, wasn't it? So I enjoyed peace and quiet in the tropical sunshine that week.
Oh.
Yeah. We had a full menu of Joe's bakes on that. That showed he's been very, very busy.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of very, very busy, what have you got for us today, James? I believe you're taking us on a trip down memory lane.
I am. So I thought what I would do was, because it's the 60th anniversary of Star Trek, is have a look back within beta canon, because that's what I do for a job. I'm a senior lecturer in creative writing and work with literature all the time. So I thought, what literary thing can we do to try and celebrate Star Trek? So I thought I would look back across the 60 years at all of the milestone years within beta canon, within fiction in particular. I'm looking at novels and stories, and see what they were doing at those milestone moments. So for the 50th, 40th, 30th, and all the way back right to the very beginning.
So in the way that we had Flashback and Trials and Tribulations as the anniversary episodes, there's going to be an equivalent in beta canon. I'll be largely unfamiliar with these, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I thought the format, rather than I'll try not to go into too much detail. I could do a kind of hour and a half on each book that we're going to look at here, but I'll try and keep it quite succinct. The idea is just to try and introduce people to all of this literature, all of these stories, all of these things that are out there, so to kind of familiarize people who might not know about it with them, or kind of reignite interest in them from people who have read these books. So yeah, there's a lot of examples that we can look through. So what do you want me to do? Do you want me to start going through this?
Yeah, book? Go on. Yeah, over to you.
And please, chip in with questions, or if there's anything that you've already read or you want to comment on, do let me know as we go along. So I started off with this year, 2026, and I can only find one book really that's officially labelled as an anniversary text, and it's this one. It's Identity Theft, a Star Trek original series novel. It's set mainly in between the Final Frontier and the Undiscovered Country. And the premise of it is quite strange when you try to sum it up. Originally, in the it's a Chekhov story. Chekhov is body swapped with what is essentially a reindeer. This species, who are deers rather than humanoid, want to spy on some people and kind of do an assassination attempt, and they swap Chekhov and this character around. And then we see the story from two perspectives: the reindeer on board the Enterprise, getting to know all of the characters that we're familiar with, and then Chekhov in this unfamiliar situation, going off on this adventure. It's quite a strange choice of story for a 60th anniversary. I was trying to work out what's the thinking behind that, but actually, as you get into it, it does a really interesting thing in that having a strange character on the Enterprise as Chekhov is having to go around and meet everybody, and it's sort of telling a story about who all of these people are, what their relationship to Chekhov is, what their relationship is to each other. So it's kind of seeing the Enterprise crew through fresh eyes in an interesting way. So that's what we've got. That came out Chekhov with his nose so bright, Joel says there. Yes, very much so. There's a lot of stuff about kind of the experience of being in this very different body, reaching up for antlers and all of that kind of thing. It's an interesting story, but I think the Enterprise stuff where we're seeing Sulu, Kirk, and all the others through the eyes of someone who's unfamiliar with them. I think that is why it works as a kind of anniversary.
Well, James, you will know the kind of timeline, no pun intended, of how long it takes to get a book to market. So do you think Greg Cox would have known this is an anniversary special, or this would have just been a story he wrote and they said, by the way, the release date for this is during the 60th? So
I imagine they would have known, because they normally schedule these things in, so they would know what the publication date was, working backwards. So that may be the case. Not sure. There might have been one that they thought, oh, actually this fits the anniversary moment, or but usually you'd have a rough idea of which year certainly this would be coming out in. So that's what we've got from that one. We've got two that are coming up through the rest of the year, and I think as a set, these are really interesting because they're three novels that are all really looking at things from the perspective of the young character within each of our series. So with the Identity Theft, the original series one, we've got Chekhov. We've got a Picard novel where we've got Wesley very heavily featured in that. That's set in 2401. It's called To Defy Fate by Dayton Ward. So it's set between the sort of finishing of the story in the finale of Picard, the final episode of season 3, and where we go 1 year later to the new Enterprise being launched. It's set between those two time periods. So Seven and Raffi are on the Titan as captain and first officer. They end up getting caught up in some sort of a temporal incident, and Wesley is brought along to try and help out and save the day. So that's coming up very soon, next month, May 2026. We've got that one, Picard, To Defy the Fates. Not sure to what extent that's being billed as a kind of anniversary special, but it's coming out this year. And then later on in the year, we've got December 2026, The Peacemakers by one of my favorite Star Trek authors, Una McCormack. And this features Jake Sisko very heavily. He's on the cover image that we've got here on the visual version of the show on the slides. This is set 5 years after the end of the Dominion War, so 2380, which I think, in looking at the wider Star Trek framework, is kind of first season of Lower Decks. It's around that time period. And Jake has been looking for clues really about what's happened to his father, and has found out that there's some scandal brewing about something that happened to do with the Dominion War, and Captain Sisko's role in that. And Jake ends up at an arts festival on Cardassia. So I suspect, knowing who Una McCormack's favourite character is, and it's one of Kristin's favourite characters, we're building up to a Garak story there. It'll be really interesting to see how this weighs up against the Picard novel that Una McCormack wrote. I think it was the second one she wrote. She wrote the first one, and then it was Second Self, which was kind of tying up Garak's story. Whether that's going to be kind of in sync with that, or will be more in sync with the literary universe, it'll be very interesting to see. So I'm excited to see that one later this year. Again, if it's billed as an anniversary book, not sure, but it's coming out this year. So I
wonder if it's the Sisko's role in bringing the Romulans into the war. I wonder if that comes to light, and the malpractice involved in that. Interesting.
And again, we've had another novel about that by Una McCormack some years ago now, 20 years ago, which was Hollow Men, I think it was called. It might be Hollow Man, which explored exactly that. So will this be lined up with that story within the literary universe, or will we be connecting more with what we've seen in those Picard books that tied things much more closely to television? I'm very interested in that kind of, which reality is this going to sit between?
Good, great. We've just had Peter join us as well, logging in. So hi to our very own Trek Book Club, Peter. So we're stomping on your territory today, Peter. So I hope you enjoy it.
Well, I better make sure I get all these facts right then. It's got an order to it. So let's go back. We go back to 2016. So this was sort of just before we got Discovery and the television series came back on. We'd had the Kelvin universe film. Star Trek Beyond came out in 2016. And again, that film was very much looking, lots of reflection in that film, particularly from the Kirk and Spock characters looking back. And even at one point, we saw that image of the original film cast. Very weirdly, and you'll see, if you can see the slide, there's a Star Trek Beyond image with a cross on it. There was no Star Trek Beyond novelization. And I think it's the only Star Trek film not to be novelized, which is a really interesting thing, particularly since it came out within that anniversary year. So that's a strange bit of business that was going on then, particularly when you look at what we've got here in terms of these anniversary series. We had 3 whole series of books published in 2016, which were 2 of them in particular were very much billed as anniversary ones, and then a 3rd one as well. So the first one I got, and this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier on when we were talking about the character of Una and Number 1, Star Trek Legacies was a novel series long before anybody wanted that to be the kind of spin-off with Seven and Raffi and co. A really interesting series where Number 1, who is given the name Una in this series, it was David Mack that came up with that name for her. And I think there's various rationales across Beta Canon as to why she's called Number 1. And I think they're sort of connecting those 2 things together, Una, indicating that she's Number 1. And in this series, she comes back. She's gone off. She's become a captain. She's very successful on different ships. And then she comes back to the Enterprise, visits the Enterprise to try and find a secret artifact, a key from a mission right back in 2245 with Robert April, was actually the captain of the Enterprise back then. And she wants to get that key that's been hidden on the Enterprise to try and rescue some crew members that were stranded in an alternate universe in 2267. So ends up working with Kirk and Spock. And so that's a really nice series. That 3 books in that series, 1 by Greg Cox, 1 by David Mack, and then 1 by Kevin Dillmore and Dayton Ward together. Really nice, because that's kind of looking right back to the origins. It's one of the first novels I can think of, really, that's linking the 2 things, that original pilot with the original series. So that's a really interesting series. And also Una comes back, because we don't really know what's happened to her up to that point. Where has she gone? Where has she disappeared to? Number 1, as she's referred to up to that point. Really nice that she's all right. I mean, she gets in trouble in this novel because she's kind of doing things that really are worthy of a court martial, stealing a key and going off doing another one. But isn't it interesting, though, that that's kind of very much in line with the characterization we see in the series, in Strange New Worlds? I wonder if that rebellious element is drawn a bit from these stories. So yeah, that's one of the series we got in 2016 for the 50th, and it is billed as a 50th. It's got that 50 logo on the spine and all the way through it. The other series, and this is a really imaginative one, which links across various Star Trek series, is Star Trek Prey. 3 novels in this series, all by John Jackson Miller. This is a really interesting story. It's set in the literary Star Trek universe. So we've got Picard and crew on the Enterprise, Riker on the Titan. It's that moment in time in the sort of 2386. And in this, we have Klingons using the technology from the Next Generation that Ardra used in, was it The Devil's Due, that episode, to bring the captain, what was he called, who Christopher Lloyd played in the film? Captain Krug?
Crudge, yeah.
Krug, yeah. Krug, to bring him back to life and try and pretend that he's still leading Klingon houses to get up to all sorts of interesting plot lines in that. So 3 novels that link across those different time periods, and a kind of 100-year time span, which is really interesting with anniversaries in mind, 2286 to 2386. So looking at the original series movies and bringing that right back into that literary world. I think it's really good to get those literary characters doing that. So that's I think one of the most imaginative series. It's slightly kind of wildly exciting, that one was, to read, because you thought they're doing such wacky stuff. What are they going to do next? Bringing Next Generation technology to bring that character back to life. So yeah, 3 fantastic books there. And we got a 3rd series in 2016 for the 50th, which was Star Trek Prometheus. This is interesting because it was a German language series. It was published in Germany first. 2 German writers asked if they could write an original series in German and publish it German first. So in 2016, Star Trek Prometheus was published. 3 books in that series set in 2385, again right in the middle of that literary universe, the Picard and the Titan, Picard on the Enterprise, Riker on the Titan, that sort of point in time. 3 books in that series, and they were translated into English in 2017, so they are available for English readers. The Prometheus in this is kind of billed as a combat vessel that's sorting out lots of political problems that have arisen, because the Star Trek literary universe at that time gets quite politically complicated, so they're off to sort out problems there.
Peter pointing out that coincidentally Star Trek Book Club here on BQN is actually discussing a deep dive of Prometheus #2, The Root of All Rage, this weekend. So if you want to hear more, if James has tempted you, jump on with Peter and get a deep dive exploration.
Yeah, that is on our Discord server.
Excellent. The Root of All Rage. Der Ursprung allen Zorns in the original German, if you're interested in that. And that series, it was Bernd Perplees and Christian Homburg were the creators of that. I've not read those books. Really interested to do that, to look at those ones. So there we are. So that was 50. That was 10 years ago. And if we go to the 40th anniversary, 2006, this is such an interesting series, the Crucible series, which focuses on stories with McCoy, Spock, and Kirk. Really, it's a kind of Guardian of Forever story, and they're looking back at that point in time and the decisions that they made, different decisions that they've made in their lives. If you can see the slides, you can see where I've put the different years that these books are set in. It's all over the place. We're in the 1930s with Christine Keeler, played by Joan Collins on screen, the 40s and 50s, 1940s and 50s, kind of imagining a life with her and a life without her. And then it's set in the 2260s. We go right back up to the kind of Next Generation era as well in some of these. And indeed beyond. So we're all over the place. These 3 books focus on McCoy, Spock, and Kirk in turn, and it's what I would call a kind of midlife crisis series. I'm really glad I'm sort of reading these in my mid-40s, because it's 3 men kind of reflecting on the decisions that they made in their lives or didn't make, where it's taken them to, where it could have taken them to. And really kind of dwelling on that in depth and asking deep questions about the lives that they've led. Such an interesting take, I think, for an anniversary year to kind of do that rather than a big flashbang. There is action and there's adventure and there's sci-fi tropes and things in there, but I think it's a really introspective, kind of thoughtful series with these 3 people as humans looking at the decisions that they've made in the lives. So really interesting set of books there for the 40th.
Very brave to focus on the original 3 and not bring in elements of TNG, DS9 and Voyager, dare I say even Enterprise as well, which were in, some would argue, a lot more popular, accessible, commercial. So to take it all to the original series is very brave, very noble, actually.
I didn't really know much about this series until I started researching this episode, but I really love these books. Original series books, I wouldn't ordinarily be the first things that I would pick, but it's a really good read. They're absolutely fantastic, and they're all by David R. George III. This series, so that was the 40th.
Brilliant. Chad is saying he does teach German as a side gig, so your German pronunciation wasn't bad, James. So well done.
Thank you. Don't ask me to pronounce the other books in that series because some of them get very complicated. Okay, so we go to the 30th. Now, this is an absolute. The 30th is. I'm not going to go talk about all of this. The 30th was the goal. It's one of the golden ages of Star Trek. Voyager, Deep Space Nine in production. First Contact. The movie came out. We had loads of stuff being published. You mentioned Flashback earlier on. We had a novelization for that. The Voyager episode that connects with Sulu to celebrate the 30th. There was a novelization of Trials and Tribulations, again, to connect with the Deep Space Nine episode that celebrated the 30th. First Contact novelization, that's a really good read. We had Mosaic in the Voyager series. So the other novels, the literary universe was going along there. The Return, William Shatner's series of books where he brought Kirk back to life co-written with Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens, who later went on to write episodes of Enterprise. That was the second novel in that series, published in '96. Really interestingly, if you can see the slides, you'll see the top right-hand corner there, we had Starfleet Academy.
Interesting.
With very airbrushed pictures of McCoy and Spock on the cover of that. So they were exploring the original series days at the Academy back then in '96. And we had the Invasion series, which was the first crossover series, if you like, of books within the Star Trek literary universe. A single, not a single story, I would say, but a single plot idea taken across original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. This was the first of those series. We saw many, many more come after that each year and beyond that down the line that link to single story. This one, there are connections across the four, but it's not so much of a thread where you have characters joining across the two or a single story. It's one alien species and how they affect each of these different crews. I think it's really interesting that this series ended with Voyager and kind of wrapped the story up in the Delta Quadrant away from the rest of everything else that had happened. And that, as from a kind of creative writing perspective, you would think that poses some difficulties because we can wind this story up, but we're really far away from everybody else who's been involved in the plot. So it's very interesting. The second series, which was Day of Honor in, I think, '97, a kind of Klingon story, they started with Next Generation and finished with the original series, clearly because taking your story away to the Delta Quadrant doesn't give you much of a grand finale. But that's, I think, really interesting that we see the beginnings of lots of those crossover series and multi-team events that we see started in this bonanza anniversary year '96, really in the golden age of what was going on.
I remember saying to you yesterday, James, that series, the Invasion ones, I remember the Star Trek Monthly magazine here in the UK gave a free book with one of their issues that year. And the Deep Space Nine Invasion was the one I got. I believe all four of them were available. Lord knows why I didn't just buy several issues of that magazine so I could get all of them at random. But I do remember getting that DS9 book. I remember the cover very well.
So that was the 30th. Lots going on that year. It was, I think that's probably one of the biggest golden points in time for Star Trek. And then the 20th anniversary. This, of course, was the year where we had The Voyage Home, and the novelization of that book was published in 1986. It's such an interesting cover because it doesn't. You see a lot of posters and later things of The Voyage Home feature Kirk and Spock in his very kind of distinctive costume and San Francisco in the background. I wonder if this cover was kind of put together before they knew too much about what was going to be in the story, or they weren't aware of what the visuals would be, because it's simply the word Star Trek for The Voyage Home racing towards what presumably is Earth and San Francisco. Although we do, on the back we have that famous picture of when they're going towards the Enterprise A at the end.
Oh yes.
On the back cover there, so that's a really great. Who did the novel? The novelization was Vonda McIntyre, who I think's done some of the others as well, some of the other early novelizations for that one. So we had that one. We had also a Which Way book, Which Way series of basically choose your own direction adventure stories. This was a Star Trek one aimed at young readers, set in 2270. And you could choose Spock or Kirk or McCoy and follow their story through the book in different directions. So interesting that in that 20th year we got that. Neither of these things really kind of highlighted as celebrating 20 years. They're just kind of there. The other one here we've got looks a little bit more like it's kind of reflecting back a bit. And it's the story of the Enterprise's first adventure set in 2265. And it actually features scenes handing over command from Pike to Kirk. So very, very timely to have a look at that book and really sort of compare that to what we've got coming up on Strange New Worlds and see again, are there any similarities? Are there any differences? And that's an interesting one, I think, for a 20th year. Again, not got the kind of 20 logo on or anything like that, but that sort of reflecting back is what we see quite a bit of here. Chad says they're interesting that the first adventure has Chekhov on the cover because he's not in season 1. of the original series. Some of the books tie themselves in knots trying to explain that, and also how Khan recognizes Chekhov when Khan was on the Enterprise in season 1 before Chekhov was a member of the cast. And often there's some quite convoluted versions of this we get, but the most typical one is that, he was on the ship, but he hadn't been promoted to navigation at that point, so he was somewhere in the lower decks.
Saw him in the bathroom or something.
Yeah, he crossed him in the corridor, or they saw him over a chess set or something in the restaurant. So that was our 20th year there. And then this is as far back as we're going, really, because this is at the 10th anniversary, the first milestone year. And some very, very interesting. And the last thing I'll talk about here is what's got me the most excited of all of the things I've discovered while looking this up. So we had the Star Trek Reader, which was by James Blish, and this was the most prominent kind of Star Trek novel or fiction, written fiction that we had at that point in time. And this was essentially stories that were from the television series, so written down in prose format as short stories, essentially novelizing what we'd have seen on the screen there. And James Blish did loads of those. Some of them were collected in this edition in '76, and then there were lots of other ones as well. And that's set across the whole span of the original 5-year mission and the original television series, of course, because it's lifted from those episodes. This one in the middle, Spock Messiah, is a very interesting and strange piece of I'll almost say archaeological artifact, a very weird thing indeed. This is the third ever Star Trek novel that was published. We had the first ever one was 1968, and that was Mission to Horatius, which was for children. It was a young reader's book, so often isn't counted. The first one that's really counted was in 1970. It was called Spock Must Die. And the plot of that one is that Spock ends up being duplicated. Some plot to do with McCoy is really nervous about transporters. So to prove that they're okay, Scotty does something and we end up with 2 Spocks, and one of them has to be killed so that we only have 1 Spock. That was the first ever one, 1970. It wasn't a hit, that novel. It wasn't in line with the tone of the series.
It's a bit Tuvix.
It's a little bit like that, a sort of opposite of Tuvix. It's like Spock. That kind of a thing. This novel, Spock Messiah, out in '76, is a little bit of the along the same lines. It is extremely problematic. This book, it's essentially a kind of first contact mission. We have the crew of the Enterprise spying on essentially a world that hasn't developed warp yet, isn't as developed as Earth or Vulcan or other worlds that we might see in the Federation. And they're spying on these people by each member of the Enterprise crew has been connected by a device to the brain of someone on the planet. So you're sort of spying on their thoughts so that you can go down and their language, the culture, you can blend in and do that sort of a thing. And this all goes wrong because the opening of the book is describing how every woman on the Enterprise can't resist Spock. They're absolutely physically and emotionally besotted with him. It's very 1976 in the way that's written.
Also, isn't that what's going on in Strange New Worlds at the moment?
Again, we could
only third.
But all of these women are kind of falling at their feet. So one of the women who's on the Enterprise ends up being connected to a kind of seductress on the planet who tampers with the person that Spock is connected to, connects him to the leader of a religious organization, and Spock becomes a kind of fanatic, leading all of these people on the planet down below. Kirk does a lot of comparing Spock to Hitler. There's a lot of extremely problematic sexism in this. The way that female characters are described is really, really alarming. The sort of the physicality of that is really difficult. There's a lot of racially complicated stuff with the way the people on the planet are handled. It's very 1976. It's not very Star Trek. And I think it's interesting that it's published in that point where Star Trek wasn't really a going concern. We lost the series. We hadn't had the movies yet. we were in that point in time where you could kind of have those things. It's a really interesting artifact, I think, to look at. I always say to my students when we're looking at literature from years gone by, is to look at it through different lenses. And I think, yes, we have to look at this through a very critical 2026 lens and say, this is really, I think one of the critical pieces I read about it described it as Spock-sploitation, very much in line with the kind of sexploitation films you would see at that time. So looking at it through that lens, it's really problematic. Really interesting to look at it through a 1976 lens of Star Trek's not happening, so we can kind of do these extremely strange things with this property and with these characters and kind of get, well, not really get away with it. It wasn't well received, this book at the time. But yeah, a really interesting artifact to look at in terms of where Star Trek was in that 10th year.
Well, I really like that, because when you get to zoom out and get that perspective and look at humanity as a whole, yes, we are progressing. It may not be going as quickly as possible as we would like it to be, but there has been growth in equality and, you know, and just proof right here. Like, we don't write women that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, again, comparing it to Strange New Worlds, so interesting to compare Spock's experience and the way that he's put with the female characters in this story and the way we see that interaction. It very much in the context that he's still, to some extent, being objectified and looked at in that way within that series, but in a totally different way to this. And it'll be interesting to see what in sort of another 50 years' time, our successors look back and look at Strange New Worlds and say, well, what was going on there. But yeah, this is, I think, such an interesting book. And again, so that the first two books, Spock Must Die and Spock Messiah, the first real novels for adult readers that we had for Star Trek, were not well received at all, not very successful, but are so interesting to look back at. And I'll finish with this. This is, I think, one of the most fascinating things I've, oh, not this, the previous slide, please. The final one here. What I discovered was that there was a book in 1975 called Star Trek Lives. And this was put together by Jacqueline Lichtenberg, Sondra Marshak, and Joan Winston. Again, we think about Lucille Ball. There's three more women who've helped Star Trek back in the past. What they did was write this set of essays, essentially, about Star Trek and fandom, about a series that's not on the air anymore, that sort of disappeared, but has this enormous fan base. And this enormous interest in it as a kind of thing that's gone by and keeping it alive. The book's called Star Trek Lives. Really interesting set of essays in that. And if you want to get hold of a copy of this, I was looking it up today. It's available for £980 on Amazon. So if you've got one,
wow,
you might want to consider have a look at when it was printed and see if you can get that out there.
I can't wait for the day you find that at a convention in the vendors hall, like, and the seller doesn't know how valuable it is.
Yes.
£3. Yes, I'll have that, please. Have you got any more copies of that? So that's a fantastic, interesting thing. And again, there's a famous essay in this called the Spock Charisma Effect, and it's looking at the effect of Spock as a character on audiences, and that kind of why female viewers in particular were drawn to it. But Star Trek Lives was 1975. It's got a foreword by Gene Roddenberry, so he was interested in supporting this. But on the back of that, we got this collection in 1976, which is Star Trek New Voyages. And this is it says December 86 there, but it should be December 76. That's my mistake, sorry. Star Trek New Voyages is a collection of original short stories by Star Trek fans that was kind of greenlit. It kind of emerged because of the success of the interest in Star Trek Lives. And it was edited by and put together by two of the editors of Star Trek Lives, Jacqueline Lichtenberg and Sondra Marshak. What's really interesting about this is that, again, foreword by Gene Roddenberry, and then the individual stories introduced by William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, James Doohan, Nichelle Nichols, George Takei, and Major Barrett. So those actors from the original series are actually introducing those stories in Star Trek The New Voyages. So I think, again, really interesting, that 10th anniversary year, which was kind of a year where Star Trek had gone. We didn't know about the movies. We didn't know about Next Generation and all the new Trek and everything that was to come. We didn't really know about the literary world of Star Trek because we'd only had these two interesting publications so far to date, Spock Must Die and Spock Messiah. But alongside that, this fan interest, and these three women who put this collection of essays together, and then two of them went on to put that collection of stories together, again was really keeping Star Trek alive, keeping Star Trek going. So that 10th anniversary year, I think, is fascinating. Compare that to 1996, where 1996 it's bells and whistles, and you've got Star Trek's on television, it's a big hit, you've got all that stuff going on. Look back 20 years before that to 1976, and some really interesting things going on, I think, across these three publications. And I really wanted just to mention, Jacqueline Lichtenberg, Sondra Marshak, and Joan Winston, the work they did in doing that. I think it's so interesting to think about that alongside Lucille Ball. And that's it. That's hopefully a shopping list of things that you're going to go off and buy, whether it's things that you're interested in and excited by, or you want to take a more critical perspective on. I think that'll be really interesting. But I do wonder, looking at the 70th anniversary in 2036, we're kind of going into a world now where there is no Star Trek television that we know about. We're very uncertain about the films. Are we entering another era where the literary universe is going to be where it's at, where we can take more liberty with storytelling, where we can do weird and wonderful and strange things? Maybe we are. Maybe the strange new world of Star Trek is on the page rather than on the screen in the next decade or so. So we'll wait and see what happens.
Wow. Thanks, James. What an interesting thought to end it on. Let's bring in Kristin and Jim for their thoughts there. Oh, Kristin's already got the book. You're already on chapter 3.
I've been going through. I've been moving the books from one side of the desk to the other. I'm surrounded with books.
So I have so many thoughts because I love books. I love books, but what I love is the intelligence with which a lot of Star Trek books and scripts are written, where they harken back to a lot of like romantic and very old pieces of literature. So there was something you were talking about with the Hollow Men. What can you remind me? I was so many things went through my brain. You said something about there's a book coming out called Hollow Men or something.
Oh, Hollow Men was published about 20 years ago. That was Una McCormack, and that was a kind of sequel to In the Pale Moonlight as a book. So looking at the consequences for Sisko and Garak on the page.
Which makes complete sense when you look at the original Hollow Men written by T.S. Eliot, and that theme of loss of hope, and that time frame that it was originally written. See, and that's what I mean is they put a lot of thought into the works before to sort of cite in their novels. Like it's just very, very good. And then the other one was, like, I know I've talked about this a lot on All Good Things, but this is one of my favorite Star Trek books, To Reign in Hell. And it's the story of, it kind of takes place between Star Trek 4 and Star Trek 5, where after the incidents and everything of Wrath of Khan, and they are finally have been absconded of all of their charges, they go back to SETI Alpha 5 and they recount everything, but then they find all of MacGyver's recordings. But anyway, there's this whole thing that solves the Chekhov question. And it says, a young Russian ensign, Chekhov by name, stepped forward from the ring of the security officers. Khan recalled that the youth had shown courage during his short-lived takeover of the Enterprise, leading a failed charge to retake engineering from the superhumans. So it was Chekhov that was in charge of the officers beaming Khan and his party down into their exit. So that's why when he's like, I'll never forget a face, Chekhov would have been one of the last faces of the Enterprise people that he saw. So
interesting.
Thanks, Greg Cox, for putting all those little pieces together for us.
And how about yourself, Jim? Are you big on the beta canon? Where does it stand with you? Do you read many of the novels?
Oh, I love the novels. Like, and I personally think the Kelvin verse, and I'm sure the pun is not intended there. I personally think the Kelvin verse is very, very underrepresented. This is like the only novel I have and have ever been able to find. But I have like a wall of books like out of view of the screen here that I won't even show of like the Trek novels.
Brilliant, wonderful.
Well, we have in the chat, those waiting for the 70th says we're going to get a new show and movie by then. Chad is putting it out there in the universe. And Peter says, I hope by 2036 we will be in another golden age of Star Trek, similar to 22 to 23.
Let's keep up the positive thinking on that.
Yes.
Hey,
Absolutely.
a new movie is officially greenlit. Obviously, there is zero information because I think it was just greenlit 10 days ago. But there's some in the works.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, James, thank you as always. We all feel that we
Yes.
can claim CPD points now because we've been lectured by a professional coming on with his craft. So thank you for your research and your presentation.
We are contractually obliged to say that I am a senior lecturer in creative writing at the Manchester Writing School, which is at Manchester Metropolitan University.
Plug received. Thank you. I think it's time for us to take a very short break and see what's going on the rest of the network. Thanks.
What's happening on BQN, you ask? Let's chart the Star Trek cosmos with all good things. Embark on a comprehensive journey through the entire Star Trek universe with the insightful crew of Amy, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristin. Galaxy class, engage! Stephen and Stefan pilots this Alpha Quadrant mission, meticulously covering all aspects of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Infinite diversity. Stay current with the newest Star Trek frontiers alongside Chrissy and Thad. Union Federation. Whether your allegiance lies with Starfleet or the Planetary Union, Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley offer a unified front, discussing both current Star Trek and the truly Trek at heart, the Orville. Crack open that book with Peter and the Trek Book Club podcast. Delve into a rich tapestry of Star Trek's beta canon. What's the tea, Bev? Christos spills the latest Trek news and fandom insights with an essential LGBTQIA+ perspective, complete with engaging guest interviews. Our visual voyages that you can find on YouTube as well as podcasts are Trek Masters. Think you're a Starfleet Academy graduate? Test your knowledge with Davey and MC's challenging Star Trek quiz show and the Viewscreen. Tune in live on Sundays for your dose of a Trek-inspired talk show. Kelvin and Amy host new 8-week seasons each spring and fall. But beyond the final frontier, we have Bargain Bin Gamer. Davey and Mitch, your self-proclaimed gamer guides, lead you to digital treasures, unearthing and reviewing the most affordable video game gems. Cinema Z. Grab your metaphorical popcorn for Mark and Matt's cinematic deep dives, unearthing overlooked films that demand your attention. History with the Zalogis. In order to never repeat it, tune in as Chrissy and Jason deliver bite-sized snippets of historical events from around the globe. You can unlock deeper levels of engagement with our exclusive patron perks. The Hive Mind is where you can join our random script readings, live reaction shows, and roundtable discussions. We appreciate you choosing BQN to fill your auditory needs. Thank you for listening. Assimilate the audio. Welcome back, everyone. Well, it wouldn't be a season, as I said, without having trivia with Jim. So, Jim, welcome back to the Viewscreen.
Great to be back.
Yes, you are now a Trek Master champion. Tell us, how did that happen? And was this your second time?
I think it was my third time on there. might have been my second or third time competing. That I don't remember, but it was definitely my first time winning.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. It actually felt great. Like it was like a last second within like the last couple of days previous to that kind of a thing where Davey had put out like a call for like someone to compete against Todd, and I was the first person to volunteer.
Nice. Yeah, that was so fun. And you had the lead like the whole time. You were showing force. Yes.
Yeah. And let's just say Todd was just being Todd.
Yes. Yeah, Joel says, "Congratulations, Jim. It was a fun episode." Yeah,
Yes.
that lightning speed warp round was, man. Boo, boo.
Yeah,
boo,
he
boo.
gave me the most competition in that round.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And Jim, are you still working on some production with Trekmasters as well? Are you still writing some of the quizzes?
Yes, as Davey announced in that episode, and I'll announce here. Going forward, I'm going to be helping Davey and MC write trivia on Trekmasters.
Yay.
So the difficulty notch is going to get dialed up quite a bit. I mean, an MC is pretty difficult in the way she writes at the moment, but certainly not to your sadistic levels, Jim.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We go back and forth on that.
Yeah, I think Davey said it right, where he's like, I'm going to pull, a page out of Jim and go, really super hard or lovely, nice. Okay, yeah, I know this one. False confidence. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, watch next week's episode of Trekmasters, folks. That's when I start writing them.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant. Okay, so how are we going to do this, Jim? For those of you who have not been on a trivia with Jim before, this is interactive. This is a chance for the listeners to participate as well. So I take a back seat from participating. I am playing on behalf of the listeners and the viewers. So if you know the answer to Jim's question, so Peter, Joel, Chad, the guys in the chat, type your answer quickly, and I will answer on your behalf.
And everyone else will be competing. Amy,
and everyone else is in. So let's bring Kristin and James in as our other participants.
And if I have any further specific instructions, I'll just read them as the question comes up.
Brilliant, brilliant. So what's the format, Jim? How are we doing it today?
You pretty much covered it there.
Yeah. Are we doing different rounds? Is there any photographs?
No, there is no photographs, and it's just 11 questions about. Ironically enough, given my previous win, it's about season 1 of Strange New Worlds. Sorry, Starfleet Academy.
Yeah. I'm like, darn it, I was watching the wrong show.
It's about season 1 of Starfleet Academy. 1 question per episode, as well as one about that memorial wall.
Ooh. Is that going to be like a bonus question? Name as many names off that wall as you can.
No, based on the research I did on that memorial wall, it would probably take an hour to try and list off all the names on the wall.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, sounds good. So to clarify, I've got my pen. I will keep score for everyone. Amy, I can't remember, what's the format? Do people have to put their hand up, or do you just
hands up.
Yeah, hands up, and whoever Kelvin or I see first answers it.
Right. Yes. Okay. Right. Okay.
And I will read the question and the hint first before anyone answers.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and let's make sure that our chats are hidden so that we're not stealing the answers from our viewers, because you guys get to play as well.
Yes, I'm the only one who can look at the comments pane.
Yeah, Kelvin and I are the only ones that can see the comments.
Yes.
Oh,
right.
I'm gonna lose.
Yeah, whatever.
I've only watched it like once. I'm like, I don't know.
Once.
Memory.
And Academy was on Thursday. I was normally asleep when it was on, not because I didn't like it, but because it was the middle of term time.
All right, I will start with question 1 here for kids these days. At what school on Bajor was Nala Ake working at when Admiral Vance paid her a visit? The hint is, before going to work there, Nala had hoped to send a 6-year-old Caleb Mir to this school.
Oh, man.
Tumbleweed moment. Right, come on, viewers. What was the school?
The School of Barefoot Teachers.
It was a lovely academy
It
with
was
talented
beautiful.
and wonderful instructors.
Gardens.
Shoot. Oh,
Yeah.
Chad is, Joel is close.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually know the answer to this myself, so I will say we do have an answer in with Joel. We've got little spoons.
That is close.
Ooh.
Sounds more like a nursery on Cardassia, that.
Yeah. If no one else has an answer, the answer is Little Blooms.
Oh, Joel, so close.
Jim, that sounds like half a point to me.
Yeah, I
Definitely
agree.
half a point.
Well done, Joel.
Well, what if I said Little Forks? Would that have been like?
That's when they're naughty.
Yes.
Ooh.
The ice cream threw me off. Nice, Joel. Okay. Although I do admit, how they got those kids to wear that special effects makeup will always baffle me.
Well, if they can make Naomi Wildman wear the horns as a baby,
Yeah.
do it with the Jorans.
Or literally dress infants up as baby Borgs.
That's true.
Yes.
All right, now beta test. What aquatic species made its first live-action appearance in 39 years? The hint, this species appeared in one of the movies and has been in several animated series. I can see Amy already.
That would be our humpback whales.
Yes.
Way.
George
One
and
for
Gracie.
We got that in the chat as well here, but Amy was straight in there. Well done, Amy.
She was like dying to say the answer before I could finish.
Yeah.
All right, Vitus reflux. And for this one, I do have special instructions. This is going to be a true or false. Each of you, including the viewers, I will take an answer, and whoever gets the answer right will get the points.
Okay.
Because as you might recall, Amy, in past when I've done true or false, it's been disastrous.
So it's worth a punt. It's a 50-50, and you don't have to be first. As long as you're right, you'll get a point.
Okay, so I will say the question, and then I will pull the answers.
Okay.
Okay, so true or false? Vitus reflux is a plant. Okay, so Amy?
True.
James?
True.
Kristin?
True.
And now let's see the Peter.
We've got Peter saying true, so we're all going true.
And you would all be wrong.
Oh.
False. It's a fungus.
Oh,
Wow.
darn it.
Darn genus species.
Oh, now Joel and Chad
you got it in there too late.
Yeah, too late, guys. Come on, quicker, please.
They were
Wait,
Googling.
was that the no, that was in beta test. The jar of
that was in
goo.
That was in Vitus reflux. It was the prank war.
That was the prank.
Yeah,
war. Okay,
yeah.
So that was the big viney thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was like a form of ivy. So
Yeah, I thought that was a plant.
Yeah.
No,
not
it was a fungus.
Now,
Now, for a bonus point there, and this one you can answer first or whatever. What is the number of the Starfleet regulation Vitus reflux is protected under? Bonus hint, it's one number and several tenths larger than the number of rules and than the number of rules of acquisition when Rom took power.
I only know the 10th portion.
This sounds like a maths question, Amy. This should be your
question.
Yeah.
at home with this.
Okay. I'm going to try for a half a point because I know that the War College dude, he was like, it's protected under blah, 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 0.3. And then Nalaaka comes up and is like, no, actually it's 0.4. So I think that's correct. And if so, I want a half point.
That's worth half a point, yes.
Yeah. Do we have any other guesses to that? Amy, your recall on this is amazing. I'm loving it.
I'm not seeing anything in the chat.
No.
Okay, so that hint with ROM. All right, you DS9 lovers. James, how many rules of acquisition were there when Who took over?
Wrong.
230.
285 is the number I know for rules of acquisition. But it's the ROM taking over that's throwing me. I just know them all as 285.
The answer is regulation 286.4.
Now, we did just have Peter put 286 before you gave the answer out there, Jim. So I'm wondering if we can get a point for the viewers.
That's worth half a point.
Well done. Well done, Peter.
Yeah.
See, isn't 286 the unofficial rule of when Morn leaves, it's all over?
Yeah. So it's unofficial. Yeah.
Fun.
Okay, now moving on to number 4 for Vox in Excelso. After the burn, how many great Klingon houses were left? And you will like this, Aunt Amy. During the early season Discovery and TOS era, there were 24 houses. Divide that number by the number of seasons of TOS. I already see Kristin's hand.
Ooh.
I'm not doing that math in my head because I physically can't right now. I'm going to guess that there were 6 houses.
I didn't hear that. What?
6?
No.
Come on, let's have a oh, we've got it in the chat. Joel's got it.
Amy had her hand
Yeah,
up.
but I had my hand up with Chris.
Right after me. Yeah.
That would be 24 divided by 3 seasons is 8.
Okay, let's give it to both Joel and Amy then.
Okay.
Full point each. Well done, guys.
That was a good hint, Jim.
Yeah,
good hint.
I figured you'd like the math hint.
Yeah.
Now for question 5, series acclamation mill. What props were seen in the Cisco Museum? I don't have a hint for this, so you're just gonna have to rely on memory, guys. Sorry.
Is this multiple points, or are you expecting?
Yes, this will be multiple points. There are 6 points available.
Okay.
Oh. How do you want us to give them to you, Jim? Put our hands up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever puts that. Okay, so James first.
A baseball.
Yes.
An orb. A Bajoran orb.
Yes.
Oh, we've got some more answers in the chat.
Yeah. You already got 2. You looks like.
So we've got the
all got a point there.
But we've got a typewriter and the Willie Mays baseball card as well.
I did not see a Willie Mays baseball card.
But we've got the Benny Russell typewriter, haven't we? I do recall that myself.
Yeah. So you can keep going, James, if you want.
What about Jake's book? Is that in there?
Anselm.
Yeah.
I do not have that on here, no.
That has it at the end, but is that not where it... Does she keep that somewhere else? Or is that not in the museum?
No, not based on my research here, no. His goatee. Nice.
Yeah.
Anyone else have a guess?
Is there a com badge?
Oh, that's a good
No.
guess.
Isn't there a uniform?
Oh.
Yeah, isn't there a first contact style uniform?
I thought that was...
Yes, there was a first contact style uniform.
So that would have a com badge on it.
Yeah.
I was breaking it down. I was going to say next there is the undershirt, and then there is the
and the boots.
Kristin, did you have one?
I was going to say Bajoran orb, but somebody took that. So was there a Ferengi tooth sharpener?
No.
Ah.
What about the Sultana clock that he builds in season 1 that sits in his ready room? Is that there?
No.
Something to do with the Bajoran sailing barge that he makes with Jake. Is that in there?
No.
No.
Okay.
All right, Jim.
What else have we got here?
With his dad's restaurant, like a logo from there.
Not.
No, I'm just making things up now to do with Cisco.
Yeah, I thought there was something from the
I'll
restaurant.
read it out now. So we got the Bajoran orb. There was a Niners hat. We said the baseball. There was a baseball glove. We said Benny Russell's typewriter, and this one I could not fully confirm. Benny Russell's glasses.
Oh.
Do we know how these artifacts from an imagined universe made their way into a museum?
I'm going with the theory the prophets put them there.
Probably through an orb.
So I think that was 1 point for James and 1 point for the viewers, Kelvin.
Well, was it a point per item?
Yeah, so I think James got 1 point and
James had 3.
3, yeah.
James got 3 and Joel got 1.
Okay, so 3 for James and 1 for the viewers. Okay. Do we want a quick run through the scores so far? So we have Amy on 2.5, James on 3, Kristin's yet to take off the board, and the viewers on 2. So it's all still very close.
Wow.
It could still be anybody's game.
Yes.
No.
I'm being nice. All right, for question 6, Come Let's Away. What was the name of the comic book loved or hated by cadets from both Starfleet Academy and the War College? The hint, loved by most cadets and disliked by one in particular, it tells the tale of the crew of the Miyazaki.
Man. I didn't get this far in my rewatch.
Ooh, we're not getting any hands up here. We've got nothing in the chat.
Ooh, that's a tough one, Jim.
Yeah.
I don't remember the title. I remember that they were all in original series uniforms in the images, which really threw me. It's like, how can they have those uniforms?
Yeah, I remember that kind of threw me too.
Okay, Jim, you've got us.
Yeah. The answer is Tales from the Frontier.
There we go.
Now the bonus point on that was, who did Tales from the Frontier inspire to join the War College?
Kristin had a hand up.
No, I was in the wrong school.
Right.
The hint is this Vulcan gave his life to save other cadets on the Miyazaki.
James.
It's like Benny or something like that.
Ooh, we do have the correct answer from Joel after James. So
Bavi.
Yeah, it's Bavi. Yeah, point for the viewers. Well done, Joel.
Question 7 for Cosine. What holiday was the reason for the school break? The hint, cadets left the academy on break to go to many different destinations, including these real-world locations: Ibiza, Denver, Istanbul, and Duluth. Whether Georgia or Minnesota, I leave it for others to decide.
James? Is it spring break?
No.
It
could be a spring break, but that's not the official title.
Yeah.
Half term?
Kristin's got her hand up.
Was it Family Day?
No.
Oh.
We have a few answers in the chat, but I don't believe any of them are correct.
No, although I think Life Day was another holiday during the season.
Yeah, I do know this one. It's just left my head.
Isn't Life Day the holiday that the Wookiees have on Star Wars?
It definitely won't be that one.
All right, the answer is All Worlds Day.
All Worlds Day.
Yes.
Oh, I did a T-shirt in my shop about that as well. The one with Caleb on the Sun Lounger.
Oh yes.
and the bonus point on this one. Yeah, and the bonus point on this one: where was Genesis heading for her shuttle? The hint: this city's official name changed in 1995.
Ooh.
Oh, man. Oh. Any guesses in the chat?
Ooh, we do have it actually in the chat.
We have. We've just had Chad. Chad's just guessed with Mumbai.
Yes. That is the answer.
Is that right? Well done, Chad.
Mumbai or Bombay is what I had here. So way to go, Chad, on that one. All right, now for the Life of the Stars. After she was transferred from the War College to the Academy, what alcoholic beverage did Caleb witness Terima drinking? The hint, the ambassador to Beta Z for this species, seen predominantly on Deep Space Nine, gifted a bottle to Terima's father. Amy.
Would that be Romulan L?
No, it wouldn't.
Oh.
James?
Is it Canar?
No, it is not.
We have Peter in the chat here. Oh,
Also wrong. Sorry, Peter.
Kristin?
Oh,
No,
wait, oh, we have it actually with or close with Joel.
Oh.
That is, I'd say Joel has half a point there.
Okay. But Kristin, do you want to give an answer in case you've got the correct one?
Or
What's Joel put? I can't see
we're
the
just
chat.
we're just cruising with all the existing. Was it Klingon bloodline?
No, it wasn't.
No.
Joel has Tears of Kahar. It's Tears of Krasari. That's worth half a point.
Yeah.
We'll take that.
Now for the bonus point. Finish the quote. Finish Terima's quote from this episode about the drink. 1 shot gives you a nice buzz. 2 shots gets you wasted. 3
gets you to where I am this morning. Very not. Yeah.
Oh, I think I remember this, but
Oh man.
funnily enough, about a drink about getting wasted. How on brand for me. Got nothing. Oh yeah, I think Joel's got it. Yeah. Three.
That is very that is very
bay.
close. I'd say half a point.
Yeah, that's what I would have said. Like you wake up in sick bay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the exact quote was lands you in med bay but gets you to sick bay, half a point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now for 300th night. What Klingon ritual did Jaden perform with his fellow cadets? The hint, this family ritual has only been seen one other time on TNG.
Come on, guys. I know this one.
I know,
Come on, viewers.
Amy.
Okay, is it the rush die?
Yes.
From the bonding?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Because that's the one.
And
But
you just
Jim,
got the
you got
bonus
that
point.
question.
I didn't even have to, and you just got the bonus point too. I didn't even have to ask that question.
Brilliant.
Yay!
So 2 points out of that for you, Amy.
Sokshi Batraso.
Even though I don't have to ask it, I'll answer. Say it. I'll just say the question anyway for you, Amy. The bonus question was, in what TNG episode was it last seen? So the bonding.
Jeremy Astor.
Shall we have a little tally of the scores since we are coming to the end? Let me just do a quick Amy's math moment. 1, 2, 5. Oh, it's very close.
Ooh.
So we have Kristin gets score. We have James on 3. We have Amy on 4.5, and we have the viewers on 5.
Viewers, they always win.
Okay, now for Rubicon. What chemical element was key in Nala Ake winning in Bracca's Kangaroo Court? The hint, this real-world element is number 38 on the periodic table.
I love that that's your clue. We know all of them by number.
Ooh. Oh, I don't know it.
Oh, we've got an answer. I couldn't tell
That
you.
is not the answer.
Not beryllium.
Bromite.
No.
Helium. Xenon.
Kelvinite.
No.
That's an insurrection. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it is.
Kristenites.
That should power.
We got it. Joe got it, but I'm not sure if we should take it since he already answered once.
We've got plenty coming in now. We've got strontium, iron.
Yeah, except Joel already gave one answer, though.
Did.
Oh.
Uranium?
Trillium?
Let's say give him half a point since since it technically is correct.
Okay.
What was
Which one
it?
is it? Sorry, Jim.
Joel did give the correct answer, but since it's his second attempt, I say half a point.
Okay.
Okay, but what was it?
Strontium.
Strontium. Okay.
Now for the last question. This is about the memorial wall.
Okay.
And like I established earlier, Kelvin, if we tried to list off every legacy name on that wall, we would be here for an hour. There's a lot of names.
Yeah.
So with that, so Price is Right rules. Without going over how many legacy characters are listed on the wall. One guess from each.
Ooh. Okay. On the legacy wall.
Right, we've got an answer here in the chat on behalf of the viewers. So we have 87.
Right.
Are you going to reveal at the end? Are you going to let everyone put their
reveal
answers
it at
in?
the end.
Okay, 87 for the viewers. Thank you, Joel.
Right, Amy?
I'm going to say 120.
All right. James?
I'm going to say 84.
Oh,
Right.
boxing in, Joel. Well done, James. Price is Right rules.
Price is Right.
Kristin?
Price is Right.
97.
Everyone except James went over.
Oh,
Jim did say when he read the questions about 80 odd names. So you.
Yeah,
you
that was an accident on my part, by the way.
Okay. So
the actual answer is 85.
Oh,
well done, James.
Yeah. There were 9 from TOS, 6 from the movies, 21 from the Next Generation, 9 from DS9, 9 from Voyager, 5 from Enterprise, 8 from Discovery, 10 from Strange New Worlds, 5 from Lower Decks, 3 from Picard, and 4 from Prodigy.
Wow. I love the prodigies on there. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
some of these are like, if I'd done it the other way, it would have been like, some of these were like, what the bleep are these names doing on there? They're so hard. No, even Kelvin and I would have a hard time coming up with them.
The rank on the wall is very telling because you'll have legacy characters like Harry Kim showing as Admiral, so you can see, oh, they did very well. But then you'll have characters from Star Trek who are of the same rank that we know them, which could indicate they died. So you have Lieutenant, and I have to give credit to good old Sean Ferrick for this one. He recently put a post out with it on, but Lieutenant Laan Noonan Singh, Lieutenant Ortegas. So they clearly don't progress.
Interesting.
Beyond.
Yeah.
Let's just hope that maybe they just retired.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the final score then, Kelvin?
Oh, yes. Right. So we have Kristin with an honourable mention, and the people's champion. We have James on. He's very tight at the top. We have James on 4. Amy on 4.5, but the viewers have got it with 5 points. So well done. Especially well done to Joel as well with a lot of the speed of those answers. But yeah, brilliant. Jim, as evil as always. Thank you very much. That was a lot of fun.
It was. Thank you for those questions and for always coming on. And yes, again,
it's always a blast.
Congrats to the viewers winning again.
Congrats. Now, while we've got everyone on screen as we are coming to the end of the show, let's do a quick roundup of where you can be found on social media should people want to continue the discussion. So let's start with yourself, Jim, before you say bye-bye.
Well, you can catch me on the Discord channel, and you can tune in every week to Trek Masters, where I might or I might not be writing trivia. And if you live in the Twin Cities or Greater Minnesota, come by TC Trek Trivia once a month, where I compete.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jim. Thanks as always for coming on. It's always a lot of fun.
Yes.
See you later. And James, where can people find you? Well, I can find you next door, but what about everybody else?
I mean, I don't really want to be found. As I said last time, I'd like to be left alone in peace to read my books. But if you want to find me for literary or academic business, you can probably find me on LinkedIn. Just search for James Draper. That's where you can find things to do with my work at Manchester Metropolitan. Or if you want to find me to look at pictures of me in Starfleet uniforms, then or on holiday, you can find me on Instagram at JBD1TQ. Or you can find me in all good bookshops. Yeah. Browsing shelves.
As a customer.
As a customer, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, James. I will
Thank you
see
so
you in
much.
10 minutes. And Kristin, my love, for the season finale, thank you so much for everything over the course of the last season. Where can people be finding you?
Sometimes online at KStrats on Instagram, user Garrick's fan club over on Reddit, and in about 10 minutes, back in bed. Yes.
Yeah, you don't want people coming to find you back in bed.
Yeah. No, but you know what? Oh, wouldn't it be lovely if we could just transport over and just have a nice little coffee together or something?
Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you, my lovely. We will see you very, very soon, we hope.
Absolutely. Mwah.
Bye-bye. And Amy, where can you be found online?
Well, you can find me in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, or on our Discord server, having some good conversations. Like I said, Peter's Trek Book Club conversation, lots going on over there on our Discord server. Kelvin, where can people find you and purchase some fun garb if they want?
Oh, yes. Well, let's get a plug in for my little merchandise shop. So I am completely unlicensed and unauthorized selling lots of Star Trek designs on t-shirts. So if you want to go to Redbubble and search for me and fill your baskets, please, and pay for my summer holiday. But outside of my Ferengi isms, wanting to bleed money from everyone, you can find me on most of the socials at Kelvin's Timeline, but my favorite place is on the BQN Collective Facebook group, our little family online there. So yeah, come and say hi there.
Well, we had such a great show. What's happening next week? ?
Well, it really is a question mark, actually, because we've arrived at the end of our run for the Viewscreen. So we will be back with more episodes of the Viewscreen in the autumn or in the fall, depending how you want to call it. Dates to be decided. But Amy and I will be rejoining Christos with All Good Things, returning to our usual format of Thursday releases. So that will either be, we've not decided if we're going to be recording next week or not yet. We don't know. So it might be next Thursday or Thursday after, but stay tuned and we will be picking up there. Yeah.
Well, we hope everyone enjoys their summer. Please tell us about it in our Discord server. We have our own little channel for, non-Trekkie stuff, just to share personal life stuff going on. Would love to hear how you're enjoying your summer. And then, yes, we will come back next season in the fall with a full 8-week episode. That's my goal.
We're going back to 8. But before that, we would love to hear what you thought of today's episode. And there are many ways you can do this. You can join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, or you can join our Discord server, or you can follow the BQN feed on Bluesky and continue the discussion there. All of the links and the invites are in the show notes.
And a huge thank you to our Patreon members for your ongoing support of this network, of our show. If you would like to join, please go to patreon.com/BQN.
or you can scan that QR code that we've just put on screen there. Now, if becoming a patron isn't your thing, that's fine. Please remember you can support our shows and the network just by posting about us on social media or reposting ours, comments, likes, or just talking about us with your friends to spread the joy and build our little community of awesome listeners.
And thank you to JJ Seastrom, who is our associate producer and the one who makes our Pride badges. So if you would like your own and will be at Trek Long Island, June 12th through the 14th, please stop by our table there and pick one up.
Absolutely. Now, that's it. Once again, thank you to all of our guests today and for the run of the season. Everyone who joins us live online, especially you guys who come each and every week. Thank you so much. Thank you to those rewatching or listening to us as a podcast. But for now, it's time to end transmission. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.